We're live. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone.
It's the Chocolate and
Mocha Connection.
We're going to wait for a couple more people to join in, and then we're going to get started. Tonight's topic is going to be mental health and illness. So join on in. If you got any questions, type them up. Stop in and say hi. You want to tag friends?
You can. I mean, I don't know who. I mean, most everybody kind of just knows.
Just start tagging everybody.
I gotta go to like my Facebook and at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody. She's just tagging people right now, so that's all she's doing.
Yeah. Just.
And I'm trying to get to this way I can see any questions or comments you guys may post or anything like that. So bear with us.
We're still working out the kinks of this.
Okay. Here we go. All right, got it. Okay. All right, everybody, we got about 13 people in the room. The reason I wanted to post this, to do this kind of a thing is, again, you know, we always talk about health and fitness and stuff like that. And there seems to be a lot of people forgetting that mental health plays a big part in overall wellness. It is one of the most,
Non-talked
about topics, I want to say, because I know it is a very uncomfortable subject and a lot of people don't feel comfortable talking about it.
It's taboo.
It's not, you know what, it's not that it's, I don't think it's so much taboo as it is that if people who have never really dealt with mental illness aren't aware of the struggles that some people go through with it, so they don't know how to relate to it. You know, that seems to be the topic or the way it happens. But again, as someone who I deal with depression, and I choose to say deal, I don't like to use the word suffer, because I try not to suffer from depression. I just kind of deal with it every day. You know, it's just get through today, and then get through the next day. It's I don't let it bring me down. There was a time when it was pretty bad where, you know, I didn't really want to do anything. It was a miracle if I made it to the gym at all to work out. So it is a topic that I'm very interested in, passionate about, you want to say, to bring more awareness to it, and so people can get a feeling and understanding, because I think there is a misconception and understanding of what mental illness looks like. Okay, if anybody who knows me, you see me, I'm joking, laughing all the time. I deal with depression every day.
All the time.
Okay? So you wouldn't know it, because I'm not sad all the time. I'm not just sitting in a corner looking miserable. So it is hard for people to understand, to cope, and grasp what people really go through. But I do believe it is an issue that needs to be talked about.
Hi, Dion.
Okay?
Hey, Pud.
And again, if you're suffering from mental illness and you are suffering from, say, you're dealing with depression, you know, I just want you guys to know that, you know, you can get through it. Sometimes it seems hard, and sometimes it seems like it's impossible. But again, in my mind, nothing's impossible and nothing is hard. I've said it in a previous video. I literally did one whole prep for a show in a full-blown depression. And it was one of the roughest preps I've ever done. I mean, getting ready for any type of competition, and I'm talking about being a former fighter and bodybuilding, it was one of the roughest things I've ever been through. You know, because when you're going and you're prepping for a show, your emotions are already all over the place. And now dealing with depression, you really don't want to do anything. You know, you just want to stay at home. You don't want to be bothered by the world. You don't want anybody bothering you. You know, significant other, friend-wise, nobody, parent, you know, nothing. So it was really rough time for me. And thank God, you know, I had people in my corner who kind of just stuck by and checked on me and things like that. Like I said, I had a very close friend of mine who she herself deals with it. And again, I say deal because I don't choose to say suffer because once again, she lives a very active lifestyle. She travels. She does a lot of things, and she gets through her days. Sometimes some days are easier than others, but she deals with it. But she would check on me constantly, and even days that I was putting on a smile to act like everything was okay, she would always pull me to the side and be like, "What's wrong?"
Like, what's really wrong?
You know, like she knew that I was going through something that particularly something was getting to me that day, and I was struggling with something. So, and again, I think it's important to have those kind of people in your lives. And I know sometimes it's hard. Some people don't, but it is important. It is very important. And if you are somebody who has somebody who is dealing with mental illness and stuff like that or depression, you know. Telling them to cheer up is not helping them. It's one thing I've heard a lot of people say, and people who don't know that I suffer from depression or I deal with depression. People don't know that I deal with mental illness or, they don't know that. So I'll hear them talk, and they're like, people who are depressed, why don't they just cheer up and look on the bright side? If it was that easy, we wouldn't be dealing with depression. Okay, and that's the problem, and that's why most times people who deal with depression don't speak about it. We feel that we're going to be judged, or we feel we're going to be a burden to that person. So that's why a lot of times you don't know until it's too late, and in most severe cases, that person ends up taking their life. Okay, because they don't want to be a burden to anybody else. You know what I mean? And so it's a struggle sometimes to try to deal with it day by day. But again, you just find something that you're good at, something that you enjoy. Okay, for me, when I get to those times that I'm really bad or, I got some really crazy thoughts going in my head, I like to journal. The things that are going in my head, I put it on paper or I'll make notes in my phone about it just so I can see the thoughts that are in my head and how those are not normal thoughts. You know what I mean? Again, yes, I will always say that I've always said, and this is where when people say, oh, I'm depressed, there's a difference between depressed and sad and dealing with depression. There's a difference there. Some people can be depressed and they'll get over it like that. When somebody's dealing with depression and there's a kind of a misfire happening, it's a constant thing. Even if things are going great in their life, they can't see the good that's going on in their life because their brain and their emotions aren't allowing them to see it. And that's in every aspect. You can be in the best relationship with the best person and not see it. You'll see it, oh, she's with me because she feels sorry for me. Or she's with me for some X other amount of reason, but you never see that it's just because you are a good person or anything like that. So it's rough to distinguish the two.
Would you say that some of that comes from like past traumas?
Some of it does come from past because when somebody who deals with it opens up, and you get the cheer up, don't be so negative, look on the bright side. Right there. You shut down.
It's a shutdown. You feel like you weren't heard and you weren't listened to.
Yes, you feel like your feelings were trivialized and so it tends to be a shutdown case. And I've seen it happen many a times. And it's happened to me plenty of times. So I don't really talk when I'm going through those phases. Some people know when I am, and the people that are really close to me and know me know. But again, it's a struggle. Again, it's a struggle, and you have to get through. But that's why I love going to the gym. That takes my mind off of it. Believe it or not, sometimes going to work, just distracting my mind, giving my head something else to try to focus on, other than the negative thoughts that are in my head. Even if nothing negative is happening in my life, Is
it like an anxious overthinking?
It is. It's your mind finds something to be negative about, and that's the problem. Okay, and it could be something as simple as, again, my significant other didn't text me good morning, And it sounds so small, but sometimes the smallest thing can have the biggest impact on a certain person. You don't know how it's going to affect them.
He's texted me good morning since the day that we've met, and it's actually like the highlight. But like we could be laying next to me seeing the good morning text because I actually work overnights makes my entire day. I'm like, if it's like 7 a.m. and I haven't gotten a text, either he's overslept or he's having a bad day, and I immediately, hey, you all right? You okay? Sometimes it's I overslept.
Yeah, but most of the time,
Most of the time it's he overslept.
But again, it's like I said, my one friend, and again, the only reason I don't ever say her name is because that's her story to tell. I don't like to put people's business out there, but I mean, like I said, she travels a lot due to her job. But there's not a week that goes by where we don't text each other for some reason or another, even if it's to check up on each other. And it's been going that way for years now.
2.5, 3 years.
Almost three. I think almost like about 3 years
You
now.
guys are like serious besties.
So yeah, I mean, she could be in the midst of doing her job, and like right after, I'll get a text of something, you know, or sometimes it could be just like she's traveled for her job and on a Monday, and on a Wednesday I'll get a text, hey, how you doing? You know, even when I prepped for my show last year in the summer, she told me like, I'm worried about you because of your last show, my last prep. And again, it wasn't as rough because I tried to take more control of my emotions. And, you know, admitting to yourself that you're dealing with the depression helps. If you try to say you're not depressed and you're not going through these things, and that I have to be strong and I have to put on a brave face so nobody else around me feels uncomfortable, that's when you run into problems.
Yeah. I mean, there's like the saying, it's okay to not be okay. I am 100% a believer in that because...
It is, and especially for men. I'm going to be honest, especially for guys. For guys, it's harder for us to ask for help. It's harder for us to say emotionally that we're not okay. You know, we're raised... I mean, I don't want to say the toxic masculinity thing, but we're raised that men are men and men are tough. You know, we don't show emotion. That's bullshit.
He cries at movies.
That's bullshit. And I cried in Creed, man, when Rocky had cancer. What are you talking about? That's Rocky. So again, it's hard for men. So, you know, I would recommend any guy and, you know, a man out there, if you're having times when you just feel like you don't want to do anything, and it's hard to describe because everybody deals with it in a different way.
Or you just feel off or you need someone to talk to.
Yeah, you know, just talk to somebody, you know,
Hey,
a friend.
I work overnight. To anyone here ever needs someone to talk to, I'm up from 11 p.m. till 9 a.m. I'll talk to pretty much anybody.
You know, a friend, a significant other, a family member. You know, I'll go the route of talking to a priest.
Rabbi, shaman.
You know, and you have to get those feelings and those thoughts out to help. You have to acknowledge that yes, there is something wrong. I'm just not sure what it is, how to pinpoint it. But in admitting and knowing that you're having issues is going to help start the process of dealing with it. And that's the most important part that I can say is always trying to deal with the issue at hand. Don't bury it. I buried it for years. And I'm 44 years old now. And at the time, when I was growing up, you didn't diagnose kids with depression. It was unheard of. Back in the day, they were just lazy. They didn't have the willpower, the drive to get up and do. That's what you were labeled as when I was growing up. So I became a very angry child, and the way I dealt with it was I'd lashed out and fight a lot. You know, and I've told everybody I was a very angry child growing up. Got into a lot of fist fights because again, I just didn't know how to deal with what I was going through, and you don't want to show weakness because you are supposed to be a man. And especially at the time I was growing up in Puerto Rico and in the Latin community, the Hispanic community, you really don't show weakness. So I couldn't tell anybody that, you know, yeah, I woke up in the morning and all I felt like doing was staying in bed in the dark and crying, or I didn't really feel like showering. I didn't want to eat anything. I didn't want to say that. So if people kept asking me so many questions, I would be like, you know, mind your own fucking business and just start fighting, you know? So as you grow older, you tend to realize that that's not healthy because you're creating more of a toxic environment for yourself. And that's when I started kind of getting a little bit more comfortable with talking, and I did go to see somebody, and they're the ones who gave me the idea of journaling and putting your feelings on paper. If you don't have anybody to talk to, be your own corner, or be your own ear, be your own emotional support. Write down what you're feeling, put it into words. And again, it's something that I still do to this day occasionally. If it's getting to be too much for me, I will write, whether it be in my phone or on a piece of paper or whatever. I will write down what I'm feeling and how I'm feeling in that day, and go about my day and try to get to the next day. It's too much for you to say, I got this, I'm gonna be good from now on. It's too much. I equate it to people who recover from alcoholism and drug addiction. The way they succeed is they take it day by day. Okay, I've heard a lot of recovery stories when they say, I can't think I'm going to be good for 3 months. I can't think I'm going to stay clean for a year. But they say, I know I can stay clean for a day. So, and that's the way they go about it. So I know that when I'm feeling weak and I'm getting to the point where I feel like I'm breaking down, I know I can push through and be strong for today. Okay, I know that. I can be strong for today, and I can get through today. And then the next day, it's another journey. It's another challenge. I know I can get through today. And that's the way I always try to live, my life, because it's the way I have to. I've got 5 kids. I've got a granddaughter. I've got a beautiful fiance. We're planning our wedding and everything. So it's not that I'm doing it for them. I do want to be around for them, but I also want to do it for myself. I want to be able to live my life, enjoy my life, and not have my, if you want to say illness, define who I am. You know what I mean? So that's why it's very important for me that people understand that this is not something that's fake. It's not a made up. I've heard people say all the time, depression is made up, and people who kill themselves are weak. It's the coward way out, and I take offense to that. I really do.
Especially when you don't know how much that person's been struggling or what has caused them or led them to that point.
And the one thing that I see is that when people get to that point, it's because they don't see any other way out. There is such a dark, dark, dark place that in their mind, nothing is going to help them, and they are a burden to everyone around them. And in their mind, everybody else around them will be better off without them being there. You know what I'm saying? It's not that somebody just wakes up and says, I can't deal with it, that's it. No, it's a multiple of different factors that play into that. I will never, and I have lost friends to suicide before, and I will never sit back and say he was a coward and he took the coward way out.
It's almost like you're just like, man, I wish he would have come to talk to me.
Yeah.
Something I could have done to help at least.
And that's the reason why I talk about it more now, because I never talked and told people that I deal with depression. I never told anybody that. So maybe if they had known in that moment, they could have come and talked to me, and I could have helped them. So that's why now I'm a little bit more open about it. And like I said, people are going to judge, and if people judge me, go ahead, judge me. I don't care. I still try to live a happy life, and I try to make my things work the way they're going to work, and I still try to live a productive lifestyle. It's just that there are days when I can't be as productive as I would like.
Yeah, and I think with being competitors, there is I like to call it a post-show kind of a depression. You're riding this high, you've pushed your body to the limits and you've completed something amazing. Like in my case, when I did my very first show in 2017, after I kind of struggled and I didn't know what was wrong, and actually he pointed it out to me. He was like, you might have post-show, a slight post-show depression. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, what's next? What do you do next? How do you, and I was like, I don't know. I was just like, I had a goal, I hit it, but now there's this weird, because your hormones are all over the place when you compete. So for me, it was tough. This time around, I'm doing, I would say I dealt with a mild depression, sadness, because my those who don't know, my uncle passed away in the middle of my prep. and I'm like they have like, you know, daddy's girl, I'm an uncle's girl. My uncle to me was like my dad, and he pointed out, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm fine. And I think it was what, the day I got back, or the second day after, I just kind of was like sitting on the couch, and I just eaten a meal, and I was just sitting there, and didn't even realize I was just zoned out, because I'm just like, ooh, like that's my uncle, like that's basically my dad, and it was just like,
And again, it's something that I've grown accustomed to because I've been that person for so many years. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Meanwhile, you're not fine. And it's different when you lose someone so important and close to you. I didn't want to push her over the edge because everybody's going to deal with their grief at their own pace in their own time.
I'm very stoic at first when it comes to that.
And I let her, you know, have her time. She went to be with her family. I couldn't go due to work issues. But when she came back, yeah, that one day I just, you know, she was very out of it. Like anybody in the Buffalo area who knows us, or you've seen her videos on Facebook, she's very bubbly, giddily, and she just wasn't that. So I already knew that and again, she was playing strong mostly because, and again, I don't deal with any kind of a loss really well. It's really hard for me to deal with loss. And I met the man. He was a really good man. So she wasn't sure how I was going to take it. How would it affect my depression, and would it send me and I wasn't concerned with that because in my mind, although a good man passed, he wasn't my uncle. It was her uncle. So I'm more concerned with her. So that day it was just over the top. Everything, all her movements were slower. Her conversations were gaps in sentences. It was just, she was there, but nobody was there really. Like her mind was somewhere else. So when I saw her just sitting there, and I'm like, you know, what's up? Like,
yeah.
I know something's up, and I didn't want to push her to. She didn't have to come clean with everything she was feeling, but you know, we talked for a bit, and maybe she felt better. I can't speak for her, but
I did feel better. I think it was for me. If you know me, you know I'm not a crier. Like that's just I'm not. I used to be when I was younger. I don't know what happened. I hit like 20 and it was like I don't cry anymore. And it's just, I think I'm just in this, like I'm a caretaker. Like that's my field of work. So I'm always worried about everyone else's well-being, and then I kind of put myself back at the end. So I was just like, everyone else needs to be okay. I need to make sure my cousins are okay, my aunt's okay, my mom, like my grandmother, everybody else is, my sisters, my siblings, everybody else is good. Okay, I will deal with this later. I can table it for right now, but I don't know why this particular day it was just like no, and maybe it was my uncle talking to him like, yo, go check on her, like she's not okay. And it did help because it was like, there was a moment where I was like, it's the middle of prep, like we were what, 4 weeks out?
We're about 4 weeks out.
And I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to go through this show, because he would have gone. Like, my uncle's super supportive of anything I did. So I was just like, I don't know what to do. But again, my uncle we're Bellamy's, and we don't quit. And he definitely didn't raise me to be a quitter. So I did the show, and it was tough. It was. And I just remember, like, afterwards, I was just like, even like the car ride home, like I was kind of like, I was happy, but I was very quiet and just chill. You know, like it's tough dealing with when you're doing something like living in Buffalo. They call it seasonal depression.
Yeah.
Where 6 months northern, like 9 months out of the year here, it's gloomy and it's just like weather. So that is seasonal depression. Situational depression. It's a real thing. Depression isn't just somebody sitting in a dark room, not wanting to get out of bed. Like everybody deals with their own depression, their own way. You do have people who are functional, people who function while depressed and in a full-blown depression. You do. One of the perfect cases when you see the memes on Facebook of this is what depression looks like, and it shows Robin Williams and it shows a lot of other artists Anthony Bourdain
who took their lives due to depression. Depression isn't sadness. Depression isn't always doom and gloom and sadness. Sometimes the most depressed person in the room is the person telling the most jokes.
Is the happiest one, making sure everybody else is laughing and having a good time.
The person making sure that everybody else is enjoying their time because they know what it's like to feel that solitude, to feel that emptiness. So they want to make sure that nobody else around them feels it.
Yeah.
And again, nowadays, the one good thing that I will say nowadays is that there's so many hotlines out there, so many places where help can be gotten, and you can get the help you need by whether it be a counselor or something.
Hotlines, group chat rooms. There's so many more
I want to
options.
say, like, we have to start taking advantage of this stuff. Like, and again, like I started the show, I know this is a very taboo subject, and a lot of people don't like talking about it. A lot of people think it's a non-issue. It's a made-up issue. Go buy a puppy, get a girlfriend, you'll be happier. Doesn't work that way.
Those things don't fix that.
It doesn't work that way. Sometimes when people who deal with it wish it did, that we could just, snap our fingers and we'll be fine. But that's just not the way it works. And again, sometimes, like I said, when you push people who deal with it like that, that's when you kind of, you make, they alienate themselves from you even more.
Yeah.
Because they already know, now you've shown them they can't go to you if they do need to talk. You've already shown them that you don't think that their worries or that their feelings are justifiable for you to spend your time listening to.
Because, like, everyone deals with their own struggles and issues. Like, hard, I would say hard is relative to the person. Like, what's hard for me is not going to be hard for him. What he struggles with is not the same thing that I'm going to struggle with. The worries that he has, I may have similar worries, but they may not be to the extent. As he said earlier, he has 5 kids and a grandchild. Yeah, we both worry about them, but his worry is on a whole nother level because those are his biological children. Like, those are his babies. And I'm going to worry. I worry about everybody all the time, but it's never going to be on that level. There's no way it could. But I think with us being competitors, in the field of fitness, I think mental illness should be talked about more.
Because the reason why it should be talked about more is because it is rampant in the fitness industry, believe it or not. Body dysmorphia is a form of mental illness. Eating disorders can be considered a form of a mental illness disorder. So, and those are things that run rampant in the fitness industry. Rampant. Okay, it is. And I literally had a girl, a client I was training, that I had to stop training her because the help she needed was above my pay grade. This girl just had a sense of body dysmorphia that I couldn't break through. There was no way I was going to get through to her. She would lose weight and still see herself as being morbidly obese. I mean, she was a big girl, but she wasn't morbidly obese, but that's the way she saw herself. She would starve herself. I could always tell she would drop a good amount of weight and then gain it back within 1 or 2 days. And I'm like, you're starving yourself, and then you're just binging, And I told her, it's like, I can't help you. I can get you through the workout, but when you go home, you're gonna deal with all the same challenges and worries that you had before you came into the gym. You're gonna need somebody's help that can help you before and after that aspect. You know what I mean? And it's one thing I say, you have to be comfortable with yourself first. And then you can, come into the industry. But it's just so rampant, the eating disorders and the body dysmorphia, which leads to other issues.
And
addictions and mental illness. Because you're killing yourself in the gym. You're pretty much starving yourself for somebody that you don't know to tell you you're not good enough to beat this person or be on that stage. That is an emotional and mental blow for anybody to handle. Especially when you know the sacrifices and the hard work you've put in to getting ready for this event or competition. And for you to not hear, they're not going to tell you, but to know that you didn't place where you wanted to place, or you placed dead last, it's a hit. It's a blow. So it's, and again, it's, a lot of people don't think that mental illness is rampant in the fitness industry, but it is.
Yeah, you mean look at someone and say, oh, well, she's, her body looks amazing. She looks great. Look at her muscles like that. But that doesn't mean that, people don't suffer. I mean, people look at him all the time like, oh, wow, he's, he looks amazing. He looks great. Look at his muscles, whatever. Most people who are like fit, well, I'll speak for myself. I don't do it for the attention of everyone else. I don't. I do it because I like to look fit, and I'm in a world of fitness competitions. Outside of, like, I'm wearing, like, a, tank sports bra right now in this sweats because I'm at home. But if you see me out, I'm usually in hoodie and the sweatpants because it's not.
Yeah.
It's what I'm most comfortable in. I don't show off, and a part of it is because of the negativity, the looks that I get, which make it extremely uncomfortable for me. As I mean, we've talked about it on another video of like something that causes mental illness, bullying, and body shaming, which we do not support in any way, shape, or form. Would you? I mean, you get body shamed as bad?
I wouldn't say I get body shamed. I've heard the comments of you're too big, or why do you need that much muscle? I mean, I've heard comments like that, but again, it doesn't bother me because again, this is my journey. This is what I've chosen to do, and again, people don't realize that the bodybuilding lifestyle helps me to kind of get the focus or reset my focus. If I'm feeling depressed or my head is going in so many different directions, when I'm getting ready for a show, 9 times out of 10, the bodybuilding lifestyle helps me because it is so regimented. I know that I have to be in bed by a certain time. I know I have to wake up at a certain time to do my cardio. I know I have to eat a meal at a certain time. Then I know in the next 3 hours I got to eat another meal. And then I know in the next 3 hours I got to eat a meal after that. And then I got to go to the gym and do a workout. But while I'm in the gym, I know I have to lift a certain amount of weight, a certain amount of reps. I have to hit a certain amount of this. And so my mind is focused on so many other things that I'm not allowing that depression to seep in. It's the down times is when they try to seep in. And that's when, again, my journaling comes in, or I talk to her, or I'll talk to my friend, or, so that's when it's important to have those people in your life, people who really understand and care for you 100% in good times and bad. And it's really important to have a very good emotional support system.
In anything that you do.
In anything that you do.
There's something new that you're trying. I think having someone to talk to and that will listen is very important. I mean, even if you're starting a new business, you're going back to school, whatever, you're thinking of starting a family, and all those things come with their own struggles. And sometimes if you don't have someone to talk to, that really kind of like seeps in your brain, and it just causes just negative thoughts to seep in, and then it's just go down that rabbit hole, which for some people, they're lucky enough that they can, work through it. Some people, unfortunately, they don't have someone to help them, and then worst case scenario comes to be. I mean, I think there's like a meme that goes, I'd rather hear your story than read your obituary.
100%.
And I would rather, I don't care.
I would rather spend 30 minutes talking to somebody, taking 30 minutes out of my day to talk to somebody, than reading 3 pages about their passing.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is the reason why if I'm in the gym, I talk to whoever comes up to me.
He does. Anyone. If you're Red Catalyst, he'll talk to you.
I don't shoot them down. I don't give them an attitude. Because I don't know what the words that I'm going to tell them, how it's going to affect them, how it might help them. I don't know what kind of day they had. One guy, I remember in the gym, he just came up to me, started talking to me about his journey, his fitness journey, and I was 100% wholeheartedly happy for his journey, the weight he lost. And I told him, that's a good job, man. You keep it going. You're doing good. It's tremendous sacrifice. I get the sacrifice part of it. You keep going, man. Keep. And he told me the same things that I went through. Yeah, but my friends, and I'm like I told him, and I've told my clients, don't worry about that because it's not their journey.
They're not going to understand
They're not going to understand it. This is your journey that you're doing for yourself. This journey that you're doing to lose weight, it may not be to get a woman, or maybe it is. I don't know. But mentally and emotionally, it's going to make you feel better. So do it. And people come to me in the gym, and it's not all the time just talking about nutrition and stuff like that. Sometimes it's just people coming to me and telling me their journey, and they want to share that aspect with me. And okay, I'm going to listen to you. I'm not going to shoot you down. Tell me your story, bro. You know what I mean? And it's those little things that could have made that person's day that much better. Like, wow, this guy, everybody knows me in the area that I'm a bodybuilder. Everybody knows that I'm a former kickboxer. So if maybe for that person, it's like, wow, this guy, he's getting ready for a show, but he's taking the 5-10 minutes to listen to my story and give me advice, or compare his story with mine, and that's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. I can't imagine if I had blown the guy off and then he had a crappy, I don't feel the necessity to do that, to just blow people off and not, hear them out. Again, I don't know. It doesn't, you don't lose anything.
Yeah, it takes 2 seconds out of your day to be kind to someone. You don't have to give off this mean toughness. I think, for me, I have been told that at times I have an RBF, a resting bitch face, and I don't mean to. If you see me out and you walk up and say hi to me, I actually will say hi to you. Careful how you approach me, though, because some people give off real bad energies or faces at first. Like, yeah, what's up? Like, oh, hold up now. Hey, how's it going? So yeah, like if we're ever out and you see us, don't come say hi, talk. Like, we're not gonna just be like, ew, get away from us. We're working out. Like, don't bother me. No, like, didn't we not just spend like how many months in a quarantine? I'd be happy. I spent months just with him.
And again, it's rough. Even going with the quarantine depression skyrocketed, man.
Hugely.
Just going through this time and people feeling alienated and separated from the masses, like knowing that you can't go somewhere.
Couldn't go to the gym. You couldn't
go to the mall. You couldn't go to the theater.
You could go to Walmart, but
the isolation aspect of it. Isolation is really, really,
detrimental to your psyche.
Excuse me. So, again, and especially during this time, I've always wanted to do, a video on mental health and illness, because I still say
mental wellness.
Mental wellness. I still say it's a topic that is so rarely talked about, that I don't understand how people don't see that it is a bigger issue than what it is, the way they treat it. And again, I just want people to know that there are ways to get help. Don't think you're suffering alone, and don't suffer in silence either.
And if you think that someone may be suffering, just kind of talk. Don't push the topic, but check on your friends, check on your family, check on your kids. Parents, I'm speaking to you now. Please, please, please check on your children when they say that something is wrong or they're feeling a certain kind of way. Because the bullying that I have seen happen with children is like, if your kid's bullying someone, tell them to stop. Because just tell them to stop. If you think your kid's being bullied, talk with your child. Speak with them. Don't infantilize or talk to them like they're a child. Speak to them and have a conversation with them about feelings and how it is okay to feel this way or that way, but also that it, how to deal with those feelings. Because I feel like a lot of times, I don't know, people maybe think that kids aren't mature enough to understand their feelings. No, they are. They know how they feel. They just like a baby is upset and it cries. That's the way of communicating to you that something is wrong. If a child tells you something is wrong, listen to them. If something's upsetting them, listen to your kids. I just don't get it. Like, I'm kind of from the old school where it takes a village. So if someone's kid comes up to me and they're upset, I'll sit and talk with the kid. I don't care. What's wrong? Why are you upset? Especially if I know your kid. Like, one of my good friends in Cali, her daughter can call me anytime she wants, and I'll have a full-fledged conversation with her. Because it's like, obviously, they like talking to me. I'll talk with them. And I'm not for bullying. It's something that really, really bothers me. I'm sure it bothers you as well. And you have all your kids, but you have 2 young sons, and I can't even imagine how you handle that.
I handle it by being honest with them and telling them, I tell my kids, you guys come and talk to me at any time. And I've always told my kids that you can come and talk to me, or no matter what the situation is. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to act accordingly depending on what you're telling me. If you're telling me that this, and that, I'm going to tell you, Mama, or my sons, Papi, you're right in your feelings. If I think that you could have handled such a situation another way, I'm going to say that too. Okay? But there has to be an open dialogue. And that's what I think nowadays, people listen to respond, not to understand. And I think that's where the communication aspect in every facet of life is falling apart. Nobody's listening to understand. We only want to respond. And when you would listen to respond, you miss the meaning behind a lot of different things that what the person's saying. So that's why, like I said, I just like to let people talk. Let them get their feelings out. You know what I mean? I'm gonna listen to you. I'm not gonna tell you you're right or wrong because I can't justify your feelings. You feel your feelings for a reason. Something made you feel this way.
You're affected by it.
I'm not gonna say that you're wrong. If someone told you that, oh, the job that you had was horrible for you and it was a toxic environment and you felt bad about it, so you quit. That's stupid. Don't do that. No. If that job made you feel that way
And was toxic to
and it was toxic to your health, your well-being, good, you left it. Find yourself a better one. There are better jobs out there. Okay? So, again, no, I'm fine. The communication aspect has to be out there and it has to be an open dialogue. And like she said earlier, check on your friends. A couple days go by and you don't hear from your friends. I did it with one of my friends from Facebook. I know the guy on Facebook. Like, I've never met the guy and I hadn't heard from him in a while. And I'm just, hey, bro, just a bro check. You all right? You doing okay? And he hit me back and he was like, yeah, just some stress from work. He's like, but he appreciated me checking up on him because, again, I know. Someone who deals with it, I know that feeling. You know what I mean? Just having somebody say, hey, bro, are you okay?
I think you should make that a thing, like a post that you do weekly, like a bro check. I think we should, make it more common that men start to talk more about their feelings and check in with each other. I mean, women, like girls' night out, or they'll say and they'll chit chat and all that with each other. But
Lincoln, what's going on, Lincoln?
But I do think it is important because I think if I didn't have I have my guy friends and my girlfriends that will randomly check. I've got a friend from high school I've known since, God, we've known each other since we were like 10. Randomly, I'll get hey, how you been? I'm like, oh, hey, how you been? What's going on? What's new? He had a unfortunate breakup a couple months ago and just randomly messaged me. Hey, I'm like, hey, are you okay? And he just needed someone to talk to him. I'm like, you good though? And he's like, yeah, I'm just a little. I'm like, it's okay, You have your, you guys talk all the time, you and Holmes, which is good.
Well, most of the time, again, because only when she's traveling, it's rough, with her.
Sure, but even when you guys are in the same city, you still check on each other.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Have your Oreos. And
it'll be random, just randomness, and you know what I'm saying. So, again, for guys, it's I guess it's more common amongst guys to really bury the depression aspect of it because we don't want to show weakness.
I think talking about your feelings is a strength. I don't see it as a weakness. I wish that was more of a commonly known thing.
I wholeheartedly, when I started doing journaling and when I was open about dealing with depression, I literally felt like a weight was lifted off of my shoulders because I never told anybody that before, that I deal with depression and stuff like that. I always kept it a secret. Because, again, you feel you're going to be judged and looked down upon. And how can someone so big be such a bitch? He sits in his bedroom all day, wants to sit and cry. What are you watching, soap operas or something? Those are the things that, you think you're going to hear. So when I actually started talking about it, and I wasn't getting those responses. I was getting the responses of, I understand, that, and, I'm here if you ever need anything and stuff like that. And, things like that. And the time that I was going through that really hard, it's, she would text me just randomly. How you doing, babe? Are you guys okay? And I would be like, yeah, and I'm doing okay and stuff like that. So it's really important to just, open up about your feelings. You'd be surprised how cathartic that can be and how much that can help you deal with the issues of depression, of the anxiety, because along with depression comes anxiety. And believe it or not, I learned that the hard way. And I learned that when I was already in my 40s. I had never had an anxiety attack before. This is when I was going through. It had never gotten that bad. And we go to the world's largest disco. It's an event they do here in Buffalo every year.
It's the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
It's a huge party, but it's themed over the 70s, and you dress up in 70s gear. It's all disco music. It's a fun thing to do, and we go every year. Well, that year, I knew she wanted to go, and I wasn't going to say no because I was dealing with my issues, so I'm like, let's go. And I wouldn't say we were there for maybe 40 minutes,
maybe an hour.
We went up to the second floor where the main dance floor was, and there was just so many people, and the music was so loud, and the lights, that it felt like I was having a heart attack. I couldn't breathe. I literally felt like I was suffocating in a wide space. Like, I almost got claustrophobic, but the space was the size of a Sam's Club warehouse. Okay, just jam-packed full of people. And I had to get out of there. It was the only way I could gather myself, and I literally ran out. You know? I literally ran out of there to get away from it. And I explained to her what I thought had happened, because I had never had an anxiety attack before. I didn't know what an anxiety attack was, how you felt. But as I started talking to people and explaining to them, that's when people told me, yeah, you had an anxiety attack. It's pretty much everything you're saying is what an anxiety attack is. You know?
And we're not like experts, doctors, or anything like that. We're just going off things that we've experienced. Like me, I've experienced anxiety attacks throughout my life. I also studied. I have a BA in sociology. These are certain things that I had to study in class. I had like a slight minor in psych. So when he explained what he was feeling, it was just like, I think you had an anxiety attack. Because, I mean, he was fine, and then it was just not fine. I mean, I have them, throughout, like, all the time sometimes. Like, they'll be random. Or some of the anxiety is sleep paralysis. And if you've never experienced that, it is one of the scariest things ever. You're awake, but you can't move. And you're trying, I'm trying to scream his name. Can't get it out. And it's just like, when you finally do, you feel like your heart is pounding out of your chest. You think there's something wrong with you, and then you go, you talk about it. It's like, sometimes it's triggered on by stress or just being exhausted, because I do tend to work a little too much. But yeah, talking with him about it the next day, we laughed a little about it, because what I said was the reason I couldn't move. He thought was funny, which kind of was. But he was like, well, you're okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just kind of going to check in with my peeps and, do all right. One of my friends is a counselor, so I kind of call her a lot when I'm really struggling with things. But yeah,
And that's one thing you guys got to understand. Sometimes it's good to have your people. Like, we're in a relationship, and we could come to each other, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm her person and she's my person to go to. And that's fine.
I know that I'm not his person, and I'm okay with not being his person, because I are days where I'm talking, he can text me, I can say, hey, good morning. He can text back, hey, good morning, and I don't know why, I can tell through a text, I'm like, you need to call your people. You need to check in with your people, because I can tell what's going on, what's wrong, check in with your people. Same with me. He'll be like, hey, do you need to go see your peeps? I'm like, probably. Like, it's because we're a couple, we're in a relationship. Doesn't mean we have to, like, always confide in each other about every little thing, because sometimes we're not gonna, like, we want to, like, as, like, a spouse, we want to make everything better, but you can't always make it better. And sometimes they don't want someone to kind of, like, love on them too much. They want someone to just kind of be like, okay, let's talk through this. Let's get through these feelings. From a perspective of Lincoln. But yes, I think the takeaway is mental health, mental wellness is super important. Don't ever feel, that you can't talk about it or that it's too taboo, because it isn't. It's real. It's not fake. No one's making it up. People do deal with depression and other mental health issues. And it's so important to speak to someone, or to just find a way to cope with the things that you are dealing with. September, this is the last day of September. September is actually Suicide Prevention Month. Suicide Awareness Month. And it's so important that, people have other people to kind of, like, lean on, I guess would be the best way to put it.
I would say lean on, reach out to.
Yeah.
Different things like that. And again, it's like she said, speak up. Speak up. Again, I'm a person, and I'm not talking shit. I'm not bullshit. I'm not blowing smoke. If anybody is going through anything and you just feel that the day is too much for you, PM me.
Seriously.
PM me. PM me. And right now, I mean...
We just got a question about that.
What is it?
Lincoln Hawk, he says, do you guys feel working out helps you if you're ever down?
It does.
It does.
It definitely does.
Depending on the workout.
Yes, and I actually talked about it a little bit earlier in this video, that's one of the things I use to cope and help me keep my issues, level is my workout, because I know that when I get into the gym, I'm thinking of, I have to do this body part, I have to do 4 sets, I have to do X amount of reps, I have to control the weight coming down, I have to control the weight going up, I have to breathe a certain way. So I'm focused on so many other things that I'm not focusing on that stuff. And then, of course, the endorphins kick in and you do feel better. It does help. It does help relieve stress. And once you get those endorphins going, so it's one of the reasons why I enjoy working out, plus the industry I'm in. But again, I've worked out even before I was a bodybuilder, always with weights and stuff like that. So kickboxing and all those things. But
mega athlete.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, we have to get into the space of mind and frame of thought that this is not a issue that people choose to have and don't choose to have. And I think that's one misconception. Let's get out there. Let's talk. You got something going on. If you just feel something's not right and you don't have anybody, PM me, bro. Sis, whoever it is, PM me.
With me.
I don't care if it's something with your job and you just don't have the right outlook on it. If you just need to vent about something that's going on in the way you're feeling, I'm here. Because I would rather have that, especially if you're a mutual friend of mine or in a group that I'm in, I would rather have that than see, sorry to say that, this person, I would rather hear your story than hear about
your obituary
and the loss that your family has had. So again, the takeaway from this is please be kind to each other. If you are dealing with something and you need some kind of help, reach out. It does not make you weak.
It actually makes you strong. Asking for help is a strong attribute.
Yes, it doesn't make you weak. Please find the strength to seek the help you need, and it'll help you progress in life further and deal with the issues that you're dealing with. So, again, thank you guys for coming tonight.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Next video will be in a couple of days. It'll probably be a little lighter than this one. Send Lincoln a message once you finish reading that one. We are signing off. If you guys have any questions or anything, hit us up in the DMs. Also, we will be posting our YouTube link with this video. Please, please, please like and subscribe to our page. Signing off, this is Chocolate and
Mocha.
Peace.